Thank you guys for letting me know you're recording. I appreciate it in the chat. Thank you. We're going to get started here in a second. We're going to have Lieutenant Frederick Shavies talk about last night's homicide. Let him speak first, and then if you have questions, we'll go from there. When you ask for your questions, please do me a favor, use the raise your hand feature so we know that you would like to ask a question.
An NFL Super Bowl team coach.
Hey everybody, welcome. We're waiting for the Oakland police to start their meeting. I don't know what the delay is. On the other hand, it is just 5:38 Eastern, which is 2:38 Pacific. So once things get going, that this room right here will change. You will see the police person speaking. Why we're seeing KCBS, I do not know. Okay. But welcome, and sit back, get your favorite beverage, and things should start any moment now.
All right. Good afternoon, everyone. My sincerest apologies for the delays. We're working through some technical difficulties, but I am ready to begin when you all are ready. So last night at about 20:41 hours, officers responded to the 1400 block of Center Street on the report of a person shot. Upon officers' arrival, they located a subject suffering from multiple gunshot wounds. The subject, unfortunately, was pronounced on scene. This is the city's 8th homicide of 2022. It appears that the suspect was on Center Street walking north to south with a firearm in his hand when he confronted the victim and shot him multiple times. At this time, we do not believe that the suspect and the victim knew one another. Following the shooting incident, at about 20:44 hours, the suspect continued south on Center, and a firefighter who was traveling, an Oakland firefighter who was traveling west on 14th Street from Mandela Parkway in a Ford Explorer city vehicle. He observed the subject walking with the firearm still in his hand. He attempted to contact his dispatch, but observed a fellow firefighter taking out the garbage behind the fire station near the rear gate in the rear parking lot. He drove to pick up his fellow firefighter and removed him from danger when they both heard the suspect yelling at them. The suspect then, without provocation, fired 4 rounds at the firefighters, striking their vehicle 4 times. 3 of the rounds were lodged in the driver's side door, and 1 entered the rear passenger compartment and lodged itself in the rear of the driver's seat. The firefighters were able to flee the area in their vehicle, narrowly escaping harm. As officers were still in the area canvassing as a part of their preliminary investigation, at about 2200 hours, just over an hour after the initial shooting and murder, the suspect entered the local business where officers were canvassing for video. Patrol officers recognized the suspect from the video surveillance recovered on scene, and they detained and arrested the gentleman, who made spontaneous statements, tending to show that he was the individual responsible for the shooting incidents. The suspect was transported to the police department, and the case will be presented to Alameda County District Attorney's Office for charging on Monday. The victim in this incident has been identified as Mr. Ronald Sanders, born in 1983 and a resident of Oakland.
Okay, guys, if you have a question, please use the raise your hand feature as I asked. Keith, please go ahead. You first.
Okay. Thank you very much, Lieutenant Chavis. I'm Keith Burbank with Bay City News. I was wondering if you can say how old Mr. Sanders was, and maybe do you have the spelling of his name, please?
Sanders, Sanders, and Ronald, common spelling. Birth date of December 8th, 1983.
Thank you.
Sorry, just 39 years old. Or excuse me, 38 years old. My apologies.
Thank you, sir. Da?
Yeah, thank you. Just wondering if you guys can release any more information about the suspect. Does he appear to have mental issues? Any idea if he was homeless or not, or just any information you can release on the suspect, name and all that stuff, and any background information. Thank you.
Thank you. So we haven't found any prior contacts that will lead us to believe that the individual was suffering from any some sort of mental issue or had any history of mental illness within our city. The gentleman has been convicted for manslaughter, so for a killing from 1996, just around the corner in I believe it's the 1600 block of 15th Street, so less than 2 blocks from this incident. There are some reports from witnesses and community members in the area that reported hearing the gentleman walking down the street, yelling as he was in the middle of the street, saying that he was going to shoot someone.
Thank you. Zinni?
Oh, thank you. Let's see here. I'm unmuted. Thank you very much, Zinni. Abraham of Zinni 62 Media. Is there any video associated with this? And also, do you have any more background on, did anyone else making you calls saying that the man was threatening before this happened or acting out any kind of way? Thanks.
Not prior to the incident, but there has been video evidence that has been recovered that also informed the officers who identified the individual as he entered the store in the area, based on surveillance video that had been recovered shortly after the incident. So within, I think our patrol officers did, and the watch commander did an amazing job of disseminating video to area units so that they could be on the lookout, essentially. And it turned out that the gentleman remained in the area and was taken into custody shortly thereafter.
Can you share that video with us?
We haven't presented the case to the district attorney's office just yet. we'll see. Not right now, sir. I apologize, Mr. Abraham.
No, understood.
Ryan Curry.
Hi, good afternoon. I was hoping you could possibly clarify the confrontation with the members of the fire department. You said the suspect was yelling at them while they were trying to get one of the members to safety. Did the suspect target these members? Do they know they were members of the fire department? Can you kind of clarify some of those details?
So we don't know if the subject knew that they were members of the fire department, if they knew that they were city employees, if they believed they were police officers, and they were in a city vehicle that had not necessarily overhead lights, but some lights on it. But we just aren't sure why he targeted them. They did not confront him. They did not demand that he get on the ground and put down his weapon or anything. They were trying to get out of the area when they were attacked. So.
And thank you. And Di, you have another question?
Yes, thank you. You had mentioned that this person was heard yelling that I'm going to kill someone. I just wonder, regarding Mr. Ronald Sanders, the victim, was he just at the wrong place at the wrong time? I mean, and if so, I just wonder, what do you make of it, and how do you feel about that? Just someone going about his daily routine, and then this happened. I wonder if you can just elaborate more about I'm going to kill someone, and then that someone turns out to be, as you mentioned, they didn't know each other, Mr. Ronald Sanders.
Absolutely. So what we can surmise by speaking with Mr. Sanders' family is that that was, as you said, a part of his daily routine. He would often arrive in the area following work and consume alcoholic beverages as a form of a way to wind down, essentially. And so he was just in front of a family member's home, winding down after a day of work. This is a senseless act of violence that has been perpetrated in our community. And I think we, along with DVP and others, are trying to wrap our arms around those that are in our community so that we cease to have these violent encounters on the streets of Oakland.
Thank you. All right. Anyone with any additional questions?
Yeah, actually, I do have one.
Okay.
So, Paul, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Sorry, I don't know how to raise my hand on Zoom. Do you have an age on the suspect?
Born in 1971.
Okay, thank you.
Just over 50 years old.
Zinni?
Yeah, I doubt you do, but I'm going to ask anyway. Is there any information?
You're muted, Zinni. Can't hear you.
Okay, sorry about that. I'll try again. I doubt you do, but I'll try this. Is there any information on the suspect and if he lost any benefits from government? Was it impacted by the pandemic? Something that would set him off as opposed to this sort of, just happening?
I am not aware of that. The only thing is that he appears to be from the area, and again was involved in the taking of another individual's life in a similar incident, just a few blocks from where this incident occurred. But I think maybe what you're getting at is what may have set him off, and I truly don't have an answer for that. I'm not sure how he had been impacted by the things that have occurred over the last couple of years, but then globally, really. So I just don't know.
And the other reason I ask is we have the Department of Violence Prevention, but it seems like still we don't have a connection between, why this stuff happens and what to do to make it not happen. It's kind of like we just have the department, we're spending money, but we're not really getting anywhere.
And not that I work for the Department of Violence Prevention, but to their credit, they were in the area and have been in the area trying to address other recent violent crime that has occurred in that area. And so I know for a fact they had 4 or 5 violence interrupters in the area over the last 3 or 4 days. And so, again, this is an extremely tragic and unfortunate incident that we're all shaken by.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Thank you.
All right, 2 last questions. Keith.
Thank you. Sorry. I was wondering if you have any idea how the suspect got the gun. Any information on that, please? Thanks.
No, I don't. And I also I guess maybe a follow-up question for someone would be whether or not it was a ghost gun. I don't know that either, and so I apologize.
All right. And guys, you got to remember, we're still in the early stages of the investigation, so very limited information can be released at this time. Anyway, Da, last question.
Sorry, it's a couple of parts. Someone did ask, I think it was Andy, who asked about if this is related to a killing that happened recently in that area. So you can answer that, but I also have additional questions. One is you mentioned about the manslaughter case quite a few years back. I wonder if the suspect, if you can answer this, if the suspect lives in that area or frequent that area. And then lastly, this kind of unprovoked, and you had mentioned there was no history of mental illness. How do you even prevent this kind of stuff from happening? So three things. Andy's question about if this is related to a previous killing or how it might be related, if the suspect lives in that area, and also how do you prevent something like this? Thank you so much.
Thank you, Da. We don't believe that this is related to any previous killings outside of the night, related to really any previous killings in the area. Your second question was, does the gentleman live in the area? We do believe that the subject has been known to frequent that area for quite some time, so over the course of his life. In the last question, how does one prevent an unprovoked attack? And I think that's an extremely difficult question to ask. I think it's more of a societal issue around how do we provide resources for those in our community, be that mental, financial, or otherwise, in order to provide services and resources for those that need it, not only in our community, but in our country. So I know that isn't a great answer for you, Don. I apologize, but I don't truly have a real answer to that.
All right. Thank you so much, Lieutenant. Thank you guys for joining. Appreciate you. Have yourself a good day.
Thank you. So, folks, that ends that. Oh, you're very welcome. That ends that. And Abdullah, you asked the question again, do they do a press conference for every homicide? And I said, the good question. No, they do not. And, you know, I was listening to the press conference, and the other gentleman representing the police department, I think it was Paul, had said, remember, we're at the early stages of this investigation. I'm thinking, okay, well, if you're at the early stages of the investigation, then, and you put on a press conference, you expect us to ask questions, right? That's kind of logical. But whatever. What I find bothersome about this whole thing is we have these departments in our bureaucracy. And in this case, the Department of Violence Prevention is supposed to ostensibly prevent violence. But what happens is that because of the nature of what the department does, it winds up coming in after a violent event takes place. And I haven't seen any credible data evidence that proves that the existence of this department as it is ran has stopped violence from occurring. In fact, look what's happened. We've had, in spite of its existence, the highest crime rates we have had in our city's history. And so what's the Department of Violence Prevention really doing? My point is, what they should do is make sure that the people like this gentleman, this suspect that are out committing the crimes, are incentivized not to commit them through creative means other than incarceration. There's obviously something they need that they're not getting. And my issue with the way government is ran right now is we have, particularly the Democratic Party, my party, has an issue with getting money to people. It's almost like that we want people to be poor so that we can say, I know you need us, and the need is constant, but you never clear out the need. Because this kind of cycle of violent action, police activity, reporting, violent action by same person, police activity reporting has gone on for decades without end. And it's become its own kind of institutional force that figures out new ways to stay alive, right? New ways to keep functioning, as opposed to a sunset. In other words, when are we going to get to the point where we can say we have stopped crime in these areas and we know why those methods worked? We're not there. And so all this becomes is fodder for the media and organizations to run on broadcasts with ads, including mine. Okay? I mean, if you want to say that does at least one organization or department good, okay, fine. Or it justifies the existence of the Oakland Police Department as a whole. But that's it. So you mean to tell me that the police department's existence has to be justified by somebody out there that threatens to kill people? The justification of the department and the Department of Violence Prevention should be to what extent we're reducing crimes, solving crimes, and altering the environment where the crimes occur. That is where the Department of Violence Prevention should be able to hold up its collective hand and say, this is what we've done, Mr. Abraham. Here are the stats. I don't see that. I don't see the business plan. I don't see the YouTube video that's a year in. I don't see a YouTube video that's a monthly report. I see nothing that goes to council that the public can see that tells me and you the Department of Violence Prevention is doing its job. And this is something I explained to Oakland Councilman Gibson McElhaney when she came up with the idea. I see it's a great idea in theory, but you're consistently going to be reacting to things. The only way you're going to be a Department of Violence Prevention is by going in and changing the conditions around which these actions occur so they don't happen again. And again, if that involves getting money to a person, by all means, do it. Okay? Do it. Do it. Because too often we talk around the solution. It's like we're ashamed to get money to people in Oakland, and we'd rather have them on the hook for a loan or something that implies that they're the rugged individual and they really don't need help. But in point of fact, we all need help, particularly during this pandemic. So I really hope that we come to a Jesus point where we really do actively change how we handle these situations. I don't hear any elected official addressing this the way the city is designed with strong mayor, which I've come to not favor. We give the politicians too much power, and yet we have people who work in key positions in the Oakland Police Department, the Chief Administrator's Officer's office, and other Oakland departments who are trained with masters of public administration, masters of city planning, masters of criminology, professional public servants, people who were trained to work in the public sector to solve key problems. Let those people direct what the next move should be rather than the politicians doing it all the time. We had a better balance when we had a council manager form of government. I know there are people who wanted better accountability from the mayor and everybody else, but you know what? Look, you have to be happy with the balance between an elected official and a trained public official. There's a vast difference. And what we've done now is we've quite literally pushed the relevance of the trained public official to the side and given light to the untrained elected official, the person who has an office, whose head is on a swivel in a million different directions at once, can't handle everything, and doesn't understand which lever of government to pull to get a problem solved. as Johnny Guitar watching would say, ain't that a B? Because it is. So anyway, that's what's going on here as far as the report and what happened. I think, let me see if I can go on to Twitter and get any more meaningful information about the homicide as it happened. I doubt it because it's new. It's new. I'm typing Oakland Center and then homicide. And let's see here. No, let's see. We have my live stream that came up with, and that's it. The latest is my press conference live stream. The next is May 7th of last year. Approximately 4:18 a.m., May 7th, Oakland police responded to a 1400 block of 3rd Street east of Center Street for a report of a shooting. Officers located one male white victim with gunshot wounds. And at that time, that was the 46th homicide in Oakland. That's it. So basically nothing about this specific one other than what I just posted. That is the press conference that you just saw. I'll keep digging, folks. I'll keep digging. All right. Subscribe to Zenny62 and bookmark oaklandnewsnow.com. That ends this broadcast. Have a great weekend.